Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new to my channel, my name is Nat. I just remembered that I have a few somewhat older items from Blend Bunny Cosmetics that I haven't dipped into, showcased on my channel, or tried out yet. I still have the Beauty Below and Diablo palettes, and I'm not exactly sure yet if this video is going to be a compilation of Blend Bunny palettes or just a couple of them, and I apologize in advance for my disorganization. I just haven't made up my mind yet. But today we're finally checking out the Rotten collection. It's the collab with Mei Pang, Microsoft on Instagram, and this collection comes with an eyeshadow palette, which is super cool. The mold parts are fuzzy. This is a fully matte 20 pan eyeshadow palette, but there's also a shimmer palette. This is the Efflorescence palette, and it has 6 shimmers that can be used on the eyes or as highlighters. The last item in this collection is the Blue Tears Lip Glaze. As usual, I purchased everything from ifeelbeautiful.ca. Let's start off with the lip glaze. Introducing Blue Tears, a lip glaze in collaboration with Mei Pang. Inspired by bioluminescent algae, often called blue tears, this glaze captures the beauty of one of nature's most stunning phenomena. With a stormy, translucent gray base, suspended prismatic sparkles shift seamlessly from electric blue to violet as light moves across the lips. Infused with a delicate honey essence, the formula glides on as a semi-sheer veil, drenching lips in a radiant glass-like finish without the heaviness or tack of the traditional gloss. This is what it looks like. Look at that. Now onto the matte palette. Introducing Rotten, a daring collaboration with Mei Pang. The Rotten Artistry palette reimagines the unexpected beauty of decay, translating grotesquely magnificent tones of mold into 20 avant-garde shades. Each pigment was curated from nature's most hauntingly gorgeous palette in their most intoxicating, nasty, damp, velvety forms. From ethereal pale blues and moss-stained greens to corroded oranges, golden mustard, the richest crimson, earthy brown, humid black, and fuzzy white. This collection is a study in contrast between decay and the divine. A palette for those unafraid to find elegance in unconventional places. This is what the palette looks like. Let's get into some swatches. First up, we have Oxygen, a matte warm white. Spoil, a matte robin's egg blue. Asper, matte pale yellow. Neo, a matte pale peach. Whisper, a matte pale mauve grayish. Velvet, matte olive green. Serpula, I think that's how you say it, a matte mustard yellow. Veil, a matte burgundy red. Histo, a matte earthy brown. All of these shades so far are so creamy and buttery smooth. Mildew, a matte navy blue. Stain, a matte rich fuchsia. Acrimonium, a matte palest pink beige. Spora, a matte red orange. Oh, look at how vibrant this is. Organic, a matte deep gray. Fusarium, a matte orangey brown. Derma, a matte pale chartreuse. Marrow, a matte crimson red. Damp, a matte palest sky blue. Ulo or Yulo, a matte deep cooled brown. And lastly, we have Humid, a matte jet black. And now on to the iridescent shades. Introducing Efflorescence in collaboration with Mei Pang. Efflorescence, the process where water evaporates, leaving behind crystalline deposits, like delicate frost etching itself across forgotten walls. It's a phenomenon of transformation, the residue of something fleeting becoming something eternal. Each shade in Efflorescence catches the light like fractured glass or a salt bloom on stone, glimmering with the spectral shifts. Worn alone, the tones appear iridescent, translucent, but when layered over the other colors, especially black, they ignite with color and dimension. A study in contrast between the decay and the divine, Efflorescence elevates artistry into something otherworldly, equal parts raw and refined, ephemeral yet unforgettable. First up, we have Loom, an iridescent blue, Floret, an iridescent violet, Bloom, an iridescent pink, Wax, an iridescent golden yellow, Lichen, an iridescent mint green, and lastly we have Ripe, an iridescent electric teal. Here are the shades of both palettes and different lighting. Okay, so I just realized that I wasn't recording. I have a bit of color on already, but let me repeat what I was saying. My original hope for today was to do 3 looks with this palette, but this eye is already irritated and itchy and watering, so I'm not sure how much it can handle. For look number 1, I started off with the shade Serpula and an A501 from BK Beauty. And I've already started in my brow bone area, so we'll just carry on. Thankfully, I didn't go too far into this eye look before I realized that I actually wasn't recording. I'm just laying this down as a kind of like a transition shade. So a wash of color in the background, in the brow bone crease area. And I think I was saying before I realized that I wasn't recording, of course I want to try every single shade in this palette. I just wish I had more time. I wish I had more eyes. But you'll know, that kind of grosses me out. Things with too many eyes, or not enough eyes, or too many feet, or not enough feet, kind of gross me out. Now let's try a little bit of the shade Fusarium with a Refer 01, patting in some pigment in the outer corner. For what I have in mind for this first look, I don't even think this shade is really needed. I just wanted to see what it looked like on the eyes. So I've just done my usual routine, heavier pigment in the outer corner, gently pulling it across the lash line, and then we'll blend it up into the crease area, into the transition shade. Let's deepen things up with the shade Veil, and I'm just using the same Refer 01 brush. Same thing, pat in some pigment in the outer corner. I have that Serpula shade, the first color that we laid down. I'm just adding that tone back to the edges and blending them out at the same time. Going in with a bit more of the Veil shade to add that tone back. Now I want to see Asper. I'm just using a Refer 21 and I'm going to put this in the inner corner And I'm taking what's left over, meaning I didn't dip back into the shade. I want to see if I can add that to this top part. I don't even know what's going to show up though. Okay, so now I've dipped in. This isn't the best blending brush, and it actually looks like a completely different tone in this spot. That's interesting, but no problem. Let's take the A501 and blend these together. Back with the Refer 01 and a bit more of the Veil shade so we can fix up this corner. Now I know that was a mistake, but sometimes that's how you discover things that work and things that don't work, because you gotta be brave enough to try it. And now I'm taking a BK Beauty 206 that has nothing on it. To soften out the edge. I have Serpula on an A501. I just want to dab it into this empty space of it. Yeah, like that. Now I have Asper again on a Refer 21. We're just adding it slightly to that empty space as well. Okay, now I want an even deeper outer corner, so I'm going to dip into Ulo or Ulo with an EO5 from Singe Beauty. Pushing in some pigment. I really don't want this brown shade to take over. So I'm just doing small motions. Some pushing, some small circular motions. It's like I said, it's just to deepen up the outer corner. Just like that. I think that's good enough. Back to the A501 with no added product so we can soften out the edge. I would wear this as an all matte look. But to showcase the iridescent shades, let's try wax. So this shade I have on my index finger because we're actually going to start in the inner third. Oh my gosh, wow, look at that. Wow, okay. I'm gonna use my middle finger that has nothing on it, just so we can soften it out a bit. Oh wow, that is intense. Incredible. And as we get to this area, let's just kind of feather it out. And now for precision in the inner corner, I have it on a silicone brush. A little bit more of the Ulo shade. Okay, so I just did concealer, set my face, and I went in with this shade Downplay and Iguazu from the Structure palette, the Fair Light one. And now let's finish up this eye look. I'm going to go back in with the Ulo shade. I have it on a ColourPop E25, starting at the outer corner, and let's keep this tight to the lash line. Pull it across. I have Asper on a Refer 21, and we're going to put it in the front third of the lower lash line. Now I have Veil on a Refer 01, and we're going to add this to the edge of the Ulo shade. a 501 with nothing on it, so we can further blend out and soften out the edge. I have a bit more ULO on an E07 from Singe Beauty, just so we can keep it tightest to the lash line. I'm also going to add that to the top part of the outer corner of the lash line. Alright, I just did finishing touches to this eye look, and now we can add blush. I want to try this Caldera shade from the Masterclass Pro Cheek Palette. I'm just using Nikki's N20. I'm actually a fan of orange blushes. I didn't think that I would be like a couple years ago, but this is a pretty orange. Very wearable, in my opinion. Don't you guys think? Now let's try a touch of the shade Wax. I have it on an F07 from Singe Beauty, and we'll just add some to the top of the cheekbone. Ooh, wow. Look at that. Now for look number 2, let's start off with the shade Neo and an E08 from Singe Beauty. Starting in the brow bone area again. I think Blend Bunny is one of my favorite indie brands. I mean, I have a few, but I just love their palettes, their color stories, how they're arranged, the quality. Now let's go in with the shade Stain and a BK Beauty 203. Let's push in some pigment first. Fuchsia / hot pink is my favorite color. Like, look at that. I've obviously just pulled some across the lash line. Sorry, I momentarily gapped out because I love this color. You know what? I never really wear looks like this, where it's pretty much just at the lash line and a little bit of a wing. It's kind of cute, right? I gotta switch up my styles. I've been feeling like that lately. And then I've been allowing that to kind of hinder my creativity process. All right, now let's blend it up into the crease area. Back to the E08 for blending, no added product. Okay, now let's switch gears for a sec. Before we deepen up the outer corner, I want to add the shade Acrimonium on a flat shader brush. Let's start in the inner corner and pat in some pigment. Because these lighter pastel shades, once you put a blend to it, it kind of just blends into nothing. Just because it's got a high white pigment in it. And we're going to follow along and fill in this empty space. Gentle blend where the edges meet. Back to the BK Beauty 203. I didn't add any product to it. Let's start with it with just the leftovers. And then we'll see if we need to add some pigment. Again, we're just blending out where the two shades meet. Okay, now to deepen things up, let's go in with the shade Marrow and Eyeshadow 00. Okay, let's just start in the outer corner. And I'm using very little pressure just to kind of wiggle in some depth. But again, I don't want this shade to necessarily take over what we have going on. Now I'm adding just a bit of this acrimonium shade to the top edge. See if that idea works on this side. It didn't on this side. I really like what we have going on in the matte area with this eye look. I almost don't want to disrupt it with some sparkle, but let's try some anyway. I'm going to go in first with my silicone brush and dip into the shade Bloom, because maybe we'll just keep it as an accent instead of putting it everywhere. So for now, I'm keeping it right at the edge where the dark and light meet each other. I guess I'll bring it up a bit because it gets hidden by the fold in my lid. Okay, so now that I see what it looks like, I don't feel like this shimmer is gonna take over. So now I'm just putting it in the empty spot as well. Kind of just like that. Going back in with a tiny bit more of Marrow to re-deepen the outer corner. Blend in where the shimmer starts, although there's no real hard starting point with this look today. Let's add a touch of acrimonium to the outside edge. Now for the lower lash line, let's go back in with the shade Stain in a BK Beauty 203. Starting at the outer corner, let's wiggle in some pigment. Pull it across. Acrimonium on a flat shader for the inner third of the lower lash line. Let's just add a tiny bit of acrimonium to the edge and then blend it out with an EO8 from Singe Beauty. Marrow on Eyeshadow 00, and we're keeping this tightest to the lash line. I just did finishing touches to this eye look, and I forgot to mention earlier that the eyeliner I'm using today is the Masterclass Pro Colored Pencil in Rated R. The bronzer combo was the same that I used on this side, and now we can add blush. I'm going to be brave and try this Ignite shade. Again, using Nikki's N20 because it's super diffusing. Oh my gosh, I just dipped into like the tiniest bit. This is so pigmented. But kind of pretty, right? Look at that, you guys. That was seriously like the tiniest dip into the color. Wow. It's not too scary, right? What do you guys think? Alright, same thing. Let's try the iridescent shade as a highlighter. Normally, I'm not a fan so much of pink highlighters, but let's give this a try. F07 from Singe Beauty. This one I don't mind, because it's got like, it's not just pink, I guess, or it goes with the blush and the entire look really well. You guys see that? Now for lips, let's use the liner 917. I'm not sure if this lip is going to go with both sides of my face, but we'll find out. And now let's add the lip glaze in the shade Body Talk. Yep, it's pretty nude, so it goes with both, right? What do you guys think? All right, here they are. Final looks for look number 1. And 2. I'll come in close. Different lighting. I hope to be back shortly with a third look. Alright, so this left eye is holding up kind of okay. It might start tearing midway through this eyeshadow application, but let's do it anyway. For look number 3, let's start off with the shade Spoil and an EO6 from Singe Beauty. Starting off in the brow bone crease area. I'm just taking a clean reference number 16 to see if we can blend this out a little bit better. I don't know what it is about that EO6 brush. Every time I use it, I kind of encounter issues. But let's try it again. I'm going to dip into Damp. I'm going to add that to the top edge just to see if we can blend this shade out a little bit better. At the same time, I'm not super concerned about it because we are layering shades on top. I don't really think that did anything. Okay, switching back to the reference 16. Now let's dip into Mildew using a BK Beauty 205. Let's push in some pigment. Oh no, I think it's starting. All right, let's just keep going. Blending it up into the crease area. I'm just taking a clean E13 from ColourPop for more blending. Now let's try Damp on a Refer 21. And let's put this in the inner corner. I'm not sure if this shade is pigmented enough. We might dip into that other shade. But at the same time, I don't want this area to be too dark. So I figure if we put in the lightest blue shade first, we can gradually deepen it up as we go towards the center of the eye. Okay, now using the same brush, I'm going to dip into Spoil. And let's start that at the inner third of the eye. Gently blend the two light blues together. I'm not sure if this is going to be a mistake or not, but I kind of want to try this shade Derma, and I'm just going to use a Refer 28. Kind of want to put it in this empty spot right here. Yeah, kind of like that, I think. Now I want to deepen things up, so let's take a tiny bit of Humid, the matte black, on an E01 from Singe Beauty. And let's start in the outer corner. And let's keep it tight, because again, I just want some depth in my outer corners, but I don't want the black to take over. Kind of like that. Now for shimmer, let's try the shade Ripe. And for more precision again, I'm going in with my silicone brush. Because same idea, I don't want the shimmer to completely take over this look. I kind of just want a bit of accent. And now for something different, let's dip into it with Nikki's N24 and let's see what this looks like as an underbrow highlight. I want to add to this spot, so I'm going to dip into Spoil and Damp together. And let's pop that right in this spot. And actually, some here, I feel like something's missing. What do you guys think? Kind of like that. I don't want it to be too heavy in this spot. Now let's go back in with a bit more Humid on an E01. To re-intensify. Let's just excuse this hole for now. Okay, now let's attempt to finish up this eye look. I don't know how it's going to go with my leaky eye, but let's dip back into Humid and the E01 from Singe Beauty. All right, let's wiggle it in. And let's try to keep this matte black closest to the lash line. A touch of Mildew, that matte navy on a BK Beauty 205. We're just adding this to the edge of the matte black. This brush might be too wide for this task, but I'm running out of clean brushes. A mixture of Spoil and Damp on a Refer 21 for the inner third of the lower lash line. E13 from ColourPop with no added pigment, just to soften out the edge. Finishing touches are done to the eye look, so now we can add blush. I think I want to try this shade, Fetish, using Nikki's N20 again. It's quite pretty, don't you guys think? I'm feeling like adding a touch of this shade, Illicit. Starting off with Fetish. Again, on this side. A touch of Illicit. And now let's add Ripe. But first, let's look at this blush. It's so pretty. All right, let's add the iridescent shade. A little bit nervous. I don't usually use like colored highlighters. but this is all for fun, right? Maybe I'll discover I like it. Okay, that's not so scary, right? What do you guys think? And now for the lips, we can try the blue tears. Wow. It's so much more reflective in the camera. That's kind of pretty though, don't you guys think? The formula of the lip glazes are nice, comfortable. I'm kind of into this lip. I'm into this whole look actually. Here it is. This is the final look for look number 3. I'll come in close. Different lighting. I'm so grateful. This eye kind of held up pretty okay. Playing with this palette today is exactly what I needed to kind of get me out of my non-creative funk. I think I've just been creating looks with too many mainstream neutral palettes lately. But as usual, Blend Bunny's formula is incredible. Super easy to work with, super fun to work with. Like I said, it brings back creativity. I absolutely loved all 3 looks that we did today. I even loved the blush shades that we tried out. I'm a fan of this lip glaze. What an interesting collection. Beautiful palette. I kind of like that it's all matte and then you have the shimmer options. And I like that the shimmers that go with this collection are just iridescent shades. Kind of like just toppers, because at heart, I'm actually an all matte girl. I cannot wait to create more looks with this palette. There are a few shades that piqued my interest, caught my eye, that we didn't use today. But yeah, I think I said this already, but I had so much fun creating all 3 looks today. Mei Pang is an incredible artist. What she does with her makeup is absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't checked her out yet already, I highly suggest that you do. Again, she's at Microsoft on Instagram. Like, she takes makeup artistry to a whole new level. Like I was saying earlier, I'm not sure if I'm going to include other Blend Bunny palettes into this video. But in case I don't, I'll still do an outro for this one. We've now come to the end of this video. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me, to check out the awesome Rotten collection. I appreciate you all so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Or if it's nighttime for you, I hope you get a good night's rest. I'll see you guys next time.
Oh, ha, ha.